last 40 years, and today I have my special guest. She's a mindset magician and growth guru, no other than Miss Tracey Sundkvist.
Hi, Daniel. I'm so glad to be here with you today.
Welcome to Book 101, Miss Tracy, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Sure. I'm a business consultant and growth coach with Brand Media, and we help business owners get out of their own way so that they can grow stronger, scale faster, delight customers, and make more money. Our typical clients are business owners who are stuck or they're not getting the results that they want. They want a bigger impact from their advertising spend. They want to get in control of scaling their practices, or they're specialists who understand that they need to develop the business and marketing skills to be able to grow, but they want to do that as a crash course. So we strengthen the behavior, the thinking, and the skills that allow long-term results and lasting change. I think we focus on the healthcare service-based niche. So we work with chiropractors, decompression, weight loss, regenerative medicine, functional medicine, and med spas across America and Canada.
Miss Tracy Sundkvist, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge to the world. And for sure, people love money, money, money. So let's talk about how to build a legacy rather than just a business. What does building a legacy mean to you compared to simply running a successful business?
For me, a legacy is really about connecting with your purpose as a human being. What we believe is that the having a successful business isn't the goal. The goal is about having a business as a vehicle for the business owner's purpose.
Awesome. I'm totally agree with you, Miss Tracy. So how do you help entrepreneurs identify the legacy they truly want to leave behind?
That is such a great question. And it comes from a long journey. So when entrepreneurs start out, it is all about learning the wheels and the mechanisms of getting their business up and running. So they become very, very busy doing that stuff, getting customers, delivering on customers. If they don't focus on their personal development and awareness, it's very easy to miss what it is you're here to do. Right. So
Yes.
I think strengthening that the self-awareness is very, very important. And of course, that needs to connect to your values. If you don't understand what is important to you, it's going to be very difficult for you to achieve a legacy business, because with a legacy business, it's all around creating the biggest impact, right? It's not only about leaving a 7 or 8 figure business. It's about the lives that you touch and the difference that you make.
Why do you believe focusing on legacy is more powerful than focusing solely on profits or growth?
There's absolutely nothing wrong focusing on profits and growth. And even though we're talking about a legacy business, we believe in making money, right? I'm not saying it's one or the other. I
Yes.
believe I believe that we have, I mean, as a society, we get mixed up between the goal and the consequences. So where a lot of people see the goal as a successful business, I believe that when it comes to doing something meaningful to you, something that brings you joy, it is the expression of your highest self. The consequence of doing that is making money, because you're in it 100%. You're passionate about it. You love it. You're doing something that's important to you. So even the hard stuff is winning for you.
Totally agree, Miss Tracy. Even you are tired, if you have the passion of doing it, you have a dedication to do this consistency. So, what's the first step a business owner should take when shifting from a short term mindset to a legacy oriented vision?
The first step, I think, would be to have a bit of a reality check. It's whenever you want to achieve something that is significant, you need to be able to determine what is it that I'm going to aim for? What does that need to look like? So as we work with practice owners, one of the first things that we do is we ask them, what does success look like to you? And what we found is that there are very, very few people who are clear about that, right? So they give you generalized answers. They'll say something like, I want to build $1 million practice. When you start digging into that and you say, okay, so what is that going to give you that you don't have now? How is that going to improve on the quality of your life? They're not able to answer because we're kind of programmed to say we want more, right? We want bigger, we want more is more successful, but we don't challenge that. So I think one of the first things that you can do is to get very clear. What is it that success looks like? Maybe it's not running an 8-figure practice. Maybe it's about running a consistent boutique type practice that allows you the freedom to spend time with your family. Right? Maybe it's a more personalized service. Maybe it's offering something high end, so you don't need the quantity of people going through. You can focus on having few people, but providing value. And then it's all about providing value for yourself. So what does that allow you to achieve as a human being? Again, know what it is that you want, and then be real about where you're at. So the only time you can achieve anything is when you're clear about those 2 points. Where am I now? Where do I want to be? And then you can start planning to close that gap.
Very well said, Miss Tracy. Beautifully articulated. Can you provide an example of someone you've coached who successfully built a legacy-focused business?
Awesome question, and this is something that I get often. I had a client who had a psychology and clinical background, and she was working in a state situation. What she had decided, what she'd seen, is that she wanted to make a difference to the underserved, underprivileged landscape. So what she did is she actually opened up her own business and she ran programs within schools. She partnered with big business so she could get sponsorships and scholarships to identify underprivileged children who had the ability to become engineering students. And she got them early on so that she could provide the support that they needed to be able to achieve their goals, to make it through that schooling system, to be able to study when families couldn't afford to keep the lights on. So for her, it really wasn't about, when she went into the business, she left a very high paying role. I mean, she was making a lot of money and it was easy, right? Everything was clearly defined, but that's not what her purpose was. And now what she's doing is she makes sure that her business is funded through big business. So big business is able to support her and they get the kudos for social investment. And she is changing lives in rural communities.
Well, congratulations, Miss Tracy. How important are core values in building a lasting legacy?
How important? Well, it's impossible to build a legacy if you don't understand your values. I mean, your values are going to determine what you think about. They're going to determine what you focus on and how you're going to focus on that. What are you going to do or not do? If I value learning, you can be guaranteed that I'm going to make time to do that. If I value helping people, I'm going to make damn sure that I develop the skills so that I'm able to do that effectively. So our values are going to dictate where we spend time. Without knowing what your values are, they're still going to drive you, but they're less powerful because they don't inform your decisions and your direction.
What mistakes do you see entrepreneurs commonly making that prevent them from creating a meaningful legacy?
To create a legacy, you still have to have a healthy business. So even though that business is going to be the expression of your needs and your purpose, it still needs to be healthy. And one of the biggest mistakes that we see business owners making, can I give you two? Because they're
Go
equally
ahead.
important.
Go
The
ahead.
first one is they do not have a vision. So they don't know, even for the business, they don't know what it is that they want. They don't have a strategy. They don't set goals. So every day just becomes a grind. It's show up, do the same thing. There's no stretching, there's no aiming at something outside your comfort zone and learning new skills and adapting to, changing economy, changing market. It's all about fulfilling today. So you need to have a plan. You need to understand, well, if this quarter we got 300 new patients, we need to make sure that next quarter we want to get 500. Now, how are we going to do that? Right? You're never going to grow, you're never going to build something important if you're not able to track it. And the second, and I've just said it, whoop, cat's out the bag, but tracking. You can't get anywhere if you don't understand your numbers. You have to make friends with spreadsheets and data, because doing that is going to empower your decisions. It's going to tell you exactly where you need to focus to fix things. And it really is just the platform for business success. Numbers don't lie, and they don't care about
Yes.
your feelings. And they're not trying to sugarcoat stuff. They shoot between the eyes, and there's no misinterpreting what they're telling you.
Miss Tracy, how can entrepreneurs balance financial success with making meaningful impact?
The reason why I'm pausing is because when we talk about balance, there isn't really such a thing as balance, right? If you think of the body, all of your systems are fighting against each other. One wants to make you too hot and would kill you if it wasn't conflicted by something else that wants to make you too cold. And I mean, that is a radical simplification. But the assumption behind that is that well-being is going to be kind of take second place to financial rewards. Now, I think if you are following meaning and purpose, if you're doing something that you understand is important to you, the focus is on doing it well. Because I honestly believe 100%, and I've seen this over and over and over, is that when you are doing something that brings you light, that brings you joy, that is meaningful to you, money is always going to follow. Money is a consequence.
For sure, the consequence of your hard work or whatever you did. How do you
Mhm.
advise business leaders integrate legacy building into their day to day operations?
Well, it's very difficult when you have a big vision, and we promote having a big vision. We want you to have such a big vision that you're not the version of yourself that can achieve it. You have to grow into the version of yourself that is able to achieve a legacy business. But once you're very clear on what it is that you want, it's so important to be able to break that down into bite-sized chunks. Sometimes we can get really overwhelmed when we look at the big picture and we just don't know where to start. And I see this not only in legacy businesses, but any business. It can be overwhelming when you can see that gap. But if you think about it, you can drive from San Francisco to New York only seeing 100 feet in front of you. You can go that entire way as long as you know where you're heading and as long as you know the road you are on, right? And I think legacy business is the same. You don't need to understand everything that's going to happen on your journey to build something of meaning, but you do need to be able to say, this is over the next quarter, this is how we want to get better, stronger, faster, have more impact, and break it down.
Yes, indeed. Break it down, people. So, Miss Tracy, what will be your short term and long term goals as a mindset magician and growth guru?
I want my purpose is to help thousands of entrepreneurs achieve their highest self. I want people to understand that they have a higher self. I want them to unlock the amazing potential, possibility, and magic that comes when you identify that every single person has a light to shine in this world. And the world is darker when you don't do that. It's so easy when you look at what's happening, globalization, the way the economies are performing, the political nonsense you see. There's so many external factors that can weigh you down, especially when you're worried about money. I think it's very important to counter that. I think it's important for people to understand that you have a say. Let's focus on what's in your control. Let's support you to become the best version of yourself in a way that you control. And I think that allows people to live fuller, more meaningful lives. I think that, even just doing that for a single person makes my past 20 years in development worth it. It's a game
Good
changer.
luck. Good luck to your goals, Miss Tracy, and thank you for your advice. Can legacy building positively influence customer loyalty and brand reputation?
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt. When you put yourself out there and you say, this is what we are about because this is what is important to us. If you are able to walk the talk, and it's not just marketing, it's not just fancy way to convince people that you're amazing, but you're actually not able to deliver. When you're actually doing something that counts, it matters. It matters to you. It matters to your team. Everybody is clear on what the goal is. That, of course, is going to lead to customer loyalty, because they're going to understand what they're going to get from you. They're going to receive an experience that is consistent because everybody pulls in the same direction. When you're enjoying what you do, you come across so much more powerfully than if you're doing something that you suck at or you hate, right?
Yes.
Showing up fully is contagious. And when you interact with people that are doing that, it's such a fantastic experience. And that's definitely something, a gift that you want to give to your customers or your clients or your patients.
Miss Tracy, can you recommend a book that empowers you as a guru?
One of my all-time favorite books, and I have a lot, so you're kind of putting me on the spot, but one of my all-time favorite that really helped me challenge the way that I look at things and the mindset that I go into things with is The Inner Game of Work by Timothy Galway. So for him, he wrote In a Game of Tennis as well. And what he said is the things that get in the way of us enjoying any new skill, anything that we're trying to develop is the nervousness of it, right? Instead of focusing on so let's say for example, you're a call center agent. Now, call center agents, imagine you're calling people, they might not be prepared for your call, they don't want to speak to you, they're rude. Now, what he did is he actually went into an AT&T call center and he made this training, it was optional. He said that was one of the conditions for him working with them, was that it needed to be optional. They had to say, yes, I want to attend. And what he taught call center agents is notice what is going on the other line. Before you get in there to try and change or support anything, understand what feelings, what emotions are you picking up? Are they speaking very fast? Are they speaking very slow? Are you validating, wow, it's terrible, I'm so sorry that you're experiencing that, right? Instead of just this clinical robotic process. And what happened is the satisfaction and performance of the call center absolutely skyrocketed. So paying attention to what you're doing in a way that is different to the mindset that you go into it with, absolutely critical. And when it comes to work, what is the meaning that you associate to work? Like, if you think of work, do you think of, oh my God, it's some evil place that I have to go that keeps my paycheck? Or is it, oh wow, that's a place where I get to, develop my skills. I'm developing my mastery. I get to interact with people who are excited about the same thing as me. Your mindset and your attitude is going to affect the results you have and the meaning that you experience in your life.
Thank you for your recommendation, Miss Tracy. In your experience, what personal qualities or are essential for entrepreneurs aiming to leave a powerful legacy?
I think I think that sorry, there's a couple of things going on there for me. I think the first thing is authenticity, and I believe that that's about being real with yourself, right? Take out all the expectations on what other people expect you to be, family expect you to be, and it really is about looking inside and saying, okay, well, what's knocking around there, and what do I need to do with that? I think one of the challenges is when you start to act in a way that aligns with the strongest version of yourself. This influences your relationships because all of a sudden you start showing up motivated, energized, on a mission. And if people have gotten used to you in a different way, that can create some fluctuations in relationships. So definitely understanding what is meaningful for you. I think the other thing is resilience, right? When you are on a mission, you need to be in a room with people who are on a mission as well. They need to be more successful than you. They need to make more money than you. They need to be making more of a difference than you, because you can't always be the biggest person in a room, right? There's nothing to learn there. Always try to be the smallest person in the room and just soak up what those other influences are doing. And of course, arm yourself with information. If you want to be a game changer in the community world or the social world, read up on people who've actually had that impact and find out what are the characteristics. How do you need to show up so that you can actually have meaningful impact.
What practical exercises or reflections do you suggest for entrepreneurs seeking clarity about their legacy?
I'm a very strong believer in partnering with business coaches or even executive coaches, NLP coaches, any coach that specializes in helping you get clarity about yourself. Very, very often we're so busy, it's kind of difficult to dig inside and then figure out why we're doing certain things and understand this is kind of what's lying behind my behavior. Understanding your mindset isn't something that you ever really think about. So when you start doing that, I highly suggest that you have a guide, because I don't think anybody should try and navigate their minds on their own. I think get an expert, do it right, instead of taking years and years to do it. Right? There's so much information out there, and you can get overwhelmed with all of the advice that is available. So get someone who specializes in doing that. Invest in that relationship and get the impacts and insight that you need to start that journey for yourself.
How does building a legacy align with a personal fulfillment and happiness for entrepreneurs, Ms. Tracy?
Well, if you think about happiness, there's this whole group of people who they want happiness, as though happiness is something that you can achieve. But again, just like money is a consequence of meaning, happiness is a consequence of doing things that you're proud of. Right? Doing things that stretch you outside your comfort zone, doing things that mean something to you. Right? Happiness as a feeling, it's not something, okay, now I'm going to be happy. You need to understand what are the things that you do that when you do it, it makes you happy. Now, maybe that's going outdoors, spending time in nature, braving the elements, and you understand that that is really when I am happiest, is when I'm in that space. Or maybe it's if you are a more sociable kind of person and you attend events where you debate issues, and that keeps your mind sharp, and you really enjoy engaging discussions where you get to challenge other people. So happiness is going to be a consequence to doing things that make you happy rather than just, okay, well, I want to be happy. Okay, well, let's pop a pill. Mission accomplished.
So, Miss Tracy, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do grab a copy or listen to one of my audiobooks available on Audible and my Book 101 Review Volume 3 Suggestions, Book 101 Review Volume 2 Selected, and Book 101 Review Volume 1 Highly Recommended. These are the product of my first season on Book 101 Review and one of my self-help books, Threads of Existence, Weaving a Tapestry of Life, and Stand Tall, Stand Together, Breaking the Chains of Bullying, and Life is Too Short, a journey of discovery, fulfillment, and joy. And one of my favorite book, Earth Fever, The Revealing Climate and Our Race to Restore Balance, all about climate change, people. Please do listen to them. They are one of the best sellers on Audible. So, Miss Tracy, to sum up our discussion, after working with you, what is the most significant insight or transformation entrepreneurs typically experience in shifting from building a business to creating a lasting legacy?
The most important insight that I want anybody to reach after working with me is to understand how they control their own results. Right? It's one thing to say we want to achieve $1 million practice or an 8-figure business. I think it's more important that by the time they finish working with me, they understand how they can achieve it, and they understand that through the process of achieving it, you can change. Right? You can change your mind, but I think the most important thing is the clarity. So to understand what's important to you. And the second thing is know how you're going to do it.
Certainly, Miss Tracy Sundkvist. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge to the world, and we are hoping for more success as being a guru in your field. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your business itself and your coaching itself?
Sure. If you want to engage, one of the things that we offer is a 14-day free to start everything you need to grow and scale a practice reliably. And that can be found at superclinicproject.com. So from there, we can direct you to all of our other resources.
Yes, people, superclinic.com. Let's support Miss
It's
Tracy
Super
Sun.
Clinic Project.
Oh, sorry, Super Clinic Project.
Superclinicproject.com.
Superclinicproject.com. People, let's support Miss Tracy Sundkvist because if we support her, more and more and more empowering legacy business to come. So, Miss Tracy, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. It's been great.
More to come, people. See you soon. Miss Tracy, I hope